Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall.
105.9 FM.
And AM 630.
WMAL.
37, it's Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman, Brian and Brian in the morning. There's going to be a big hearing up on Capitol Hill today. Talk about high gas prices, something that impacts everybody out there. I mean, everybody's feeling the pain when they go and fill up their tanks. And so people want to know, what's next? How bad is it going to get? How will it impact the economy? And what is the administration doing about it? Among those who will testify today is the Secretary of Energy, Mr. Chu, and one of the people who'll be asking questions is Congressman CORY GARDNER, a member of that committee. He's on the phone now. Congressman, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
So tell me what you want to know as you sit there and have the opportunity to query the Secretary of Energy.
Well, you're exactly right. Americans are suffering tremendous pain at the pump. It's $60, $70 to fill up a car with gas. A year ago, we had the opportunity to visit with Secretary Chu, and I asked him then, what's happening with high gas prices? And the answer was a stumbling well in 10 years from now. It was clear they had no goal then. It's clear they have no goal now. And I hope that he can come in and maybe explain a little bit more about what this administration is doing to help alleviate the pain at the pump.
Well, he's been in front of committees of late, and he didn't have answers that a lot of people liked.
Well, the answer seems to be this sort of very hypocritical or the unbelievable statement of the administration supports in his words from the testimony this morning, an all-out, all-in, all-of-the-above strategy, which is completely at odds with his actions of vetoing the Keystone XL pipeline, taking land out of production in terms of leases, withdrawing leases, and this administration's attacks on development on federal land.
So you're looking at his prepared testimony now?
Yes, that's correct.
And that's what he's going to say?
Correct.
But that's at variance at what he said when he was first asked that question.
No, that is a variant. And again, I mean, when the president spoke at the State of the Union and said he supports an all-of-the-above policy, days before he had vetoed or nixed the Keystone pipeline. Yesterday we had a hearing before the Energy and Commerce Committee that we heard people talking about the price of gasoline and the fact that if you increase supply in the United States, it will have an impact on price. And if we have a long-term plan to actually increase development, it will make tremendous relief opportunities for the American consumer.
Do you think that they're okay with having the price of gas go up? I mean, I say that I've heard other people say that they don't really care. I mean, the president said back when he was campaigning, the problem was that it went up too quickly. It spiked so much, not that it steadily went up.
Well, I think if you look at the statements that this president has made, as well as the presidents that the Secretary of State has made, I mean, the president going back into the campaign saying that under his energy plan, electricity prices, energy prices would necessarily skyrocket. And if you look at what Secretary Chu has said, he stated he'd like to see gas prices equaling prices in Europe, which are around $8 a gallon. And so if you take the two together, you've got a president who has admitted he'd like to see higher electricity or energy prices. You've got a Secretary of Energy who has said he'd like to see higher energy prices. And I think this is just sort of a energy engineering, so to speak, so that they can drive their goals, their administration's goals, instead of letting the market and consumers decide what's best for them.
But you and I both know that politically, I mean, that's suicide. You're not going to win an election if you have gas prices, over $5 a gallon or $8, whatever Secretary Chu said. I mean, do you see them doing anything in the next couple of months to try and push prices down, or to at least make the appearance that they're concerned about it and that they are going to do something about it?
Well, they're already trying the appearance part of it. I mean, you see the Secretary of Interior and you see others who are trying to spin their way out of this, saying that production is higher of energy, oil is higher under this president than any other administration. It's at record levels. The fact is, production on federal areas, both onshore and offshore, has decreased by 14% in 2011. The fact is, we've seen leases at their lowest level in 2 decades, and we've seen the number of wells being drilled decrease. So this is something that I think they're trying to spin. They're trying to have it.
But the truth is that oil production is up. But
it's because of private land. That's right. It's private production, thanks to the Bakken, the Niobrara area of Colorado, the Marcellus Shale in the Northeast. But these are areas where the president, luckily, hasn't been able to stop or reduce production.
Right.
He says he wants to stop the subsidies for the oil companies. But really what he's talking about, you're talking about subsidies that impact people who go out and explore for oil, right? And you're talking about wildcatters that do a lot of that. It's not just the big oil companies. And it seems to me that seems to be a policy that would be the wrong thing to do at a time when you could argue we need more oil, not less.
Well, and I'm still trying to figure out how the president thinks that increasing costs or adding taxes is going to decrease the price of gasoline.
Yeah,
I mean, so if you're going to increase taxes on somebody, how is that lowering the cost?
He said yesterday in a speech too that oil is the fuel of the past. Now, okay, it is the fuel of the past, but it's also the fuel of the current, and probably will be the fuel of the future. What did you make of that comment?
You know, there was at the hearing yesterday, we heard this is another Energy and Commerce Committee hearing yesterday. There was a gentleman by the name of Chris Milburn who is a truck driver, and he owns his own independent trucking company. And I asked him, I said, do you use oil just because it's oil? Do you use diesel just because it comes from oil? And he said, no, the bottom line is he used it because it's the most economical, the most available product that he needs to drive, to fuel and power his vehicles. If there was something else on the market that was cheap, affordable, abundant at the convenience stores, he'd be using it. And so I think people don't use diesel just because it's diesel. But this president can't simply pull the rug out from small businesses, expect them to pay $8 or $10 a gallon, and think that our economy is going to turn up all roses.
All right, well, we'll be watching today as the hearing gets underway. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.